And welcome to another tutorial. I am the Rum Soak Pirate. So today we will be going into learning how to use Maya to create a simple 3D model. So I'm going to open up Maya. While Maya is opening up, I'm going to open up Safari and I'm going to go to Bing. I hate when this happens. Okay, so I'm going to click Bing.com. If you've seen my previous videos, you guys will know that I use Bing for the simple reason that I get more options to use images than I get in Google, right? So I click on images here and let's make the all famous Pepsi logo. So we're going to write Pepsi logo, press enter, and we're going to use filter. Image size extra large. Huh. Let's try this one out. Okay, so let's make sure that it's a decent size. We're going to click on here, zoom in, save to my downloads, close this. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And in this tutorial, we're just going to cover some of the basic ways that I use Maya. I am not going to go into UV in this one or texturing. I'm just going to show you guys how to make the actual logo. So here we go. I'm going to press new. I'm going to close this because I don't need it right now. I'm going to click in the middle of my viewport, press the space bar. And my front one, which is where I want my logo at this moment, I'm going to press view, import image. I'm going to click on my downloads folder. If you do not see the downloads folder, what you have to do is go to your, for example, computer, double click, users, your name, and drag whatever you need here, okay? So I'm gonna download the Pepsi emblem and I'm gonna bring it into my scene. One of the things that you guys have to understand is that when Maya imports a model into the scene, it puts it right in the middle of the screen. You're gonna have to back it up. The reason is if I start modeling in this and don't move it, you guys are gonna see that it's right in the middle of my design, okay? All right. If you're following along with me, I'm going to show you guys the way I have my pen set up because the mouse of Apple doesn't have a middle and I need it a lot, and especially in Maya. So I'm going to show you guys how that works. So I'm going to set up my Wacom, my drawing tablet, and my pen settings. You guys are going to see that I have right click and middle click set up, right? So you know when I say right click, it's the bottom one and middle click is the top one. I set it up this way specifically because it's easier to work with Maya. Okay, so I'm gonna close this, minimize, I don't need that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete this sphere. I don't need it right now. I'm gonna click on my reference. I'm gonna press W. I'm gonna push it back into space. And I'm gonna do another step. In this case, it doesn't matter much, but I want you to get in the habit of freezing your background so you don't mess it up or have something go wrong and then you've been modeling for like 30 minutes and your design is off. And then it's too late to go back and start all over. So what I am going to do, I'm going to click on the channel box layer editor here, layer, create layer from selected. I'm going to click once, twice till it turns into the letter R. I'm going to click off the frame, the reference, and now I can't select it no more, no matter how hard I try, okay? It's stuck there. The next thing I'm going to do, if you have a good computer, make sure that you click on these, the anti-aliasing and the shadow. Sometimes it helps you visualize what you're working on. Um, to some people, it doesn't matter. To me, I like it a lot. It helps me feel comfortable at what I'm looking at and more precise with the shadowing. But that's just me, so it's up to you. The next thing we want to do is you want to analyze your scene. Okay. So the first I'm gonna do is I am gonna create a polygon cylinder. Okay. In this case, I'm gonna unlock my reference and I'm gonna press W. I'm gonna bring it down to try to match the very center of my sphere. So now I'm gonna click on my I'm sorry, my sphere, my cylinder. I'm gonna hold down J. I'm gonna press E for rotation. Hold down J, click and drag it till it's facing me. You'll see on my bottom left here, I'm gonna show you real quick, you'll see the degrees. So you'll see 75, 90 degrees is where I want it. I'm gonna press R and I'm gonna scale this all the way up. So I'm almost spot on with where I want it to be. So I'm gonna leave the image there and I'm gonna lock it once, twice, click off. Now I can't select it. So in this case, this is totally up to you. I'm gonna add more um, subdivisions to this. So I want it to be very smooth. So I'm gonna leave it at 50. And with the letter W, you move up and down, left and right. E, same thing, rotate up, down, left, and right. And R, scale globally with the yellow, up, down, left, and right. So in this case, I want blue from the side view. You'll see it down here. I'm going to shrink it. So about that much. That's fine for me. The next thing I'm going to do is, since I can't see through this, guys, there's a few things you have to do to be able to work with this. So I'm going to go to shading, wireframe unshaded, and then shading X-ray. What this does, it lets you know what's going on around you. This process is new to you guys. I haven't showed you in a video, so we're going to be painting on live surfaces. Normally, I suggest you practice with this because it helps you out a lot, especially when you have to do more intricate designs. You can actually draw on something and it's actually going to be pasted on top of it. You'll see what I mean. So with this selected, I'm going to click on this little magnet here. It's going to turn it live. You'll see it turns green. And now mesh tools, set down to quad draw. When you quad draw, it's basically as it sounds. I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to quad that and I'm going to move it over. Okay. So you'll see these little dots. These are vertices. You can drag those. Right, and I'm gonna move this around here. This needs to be around here. So this is one way to do it, right? This is called live surface drawing. It helps you out if you want to draw, for example, you have these swirls on this building that are hard to do. You can do that. Um, so yeah, so let's keep going this way. So all I'm gonna do is click a point, add a point, hold down Shift, and you'll get this highlight, and it'll fill in. So let's move this one closer, this one closer. Guys, by the way, when you watch my tutorials, this is not the only way to do things. Um, there are many ways, like they say, to skin a cat. In my way, in my case, this is the way I do it. But it doesn't mean that it's the only way. So this is just my way of doing things. I find it more satisfying for myself to put in the hard work, um, and do it this way because it's more precise for me. Um, but there's many ways to do this, guys. There's people that would just take another a cylinder and cut it, and there's a lot of ways, but me, I'm very precise in what I like to do, so I try to make sure that all of this stuff, guys, gets done perfectly. I don't like to leave nothing up to chance, right? That's not the way us Gen X were raised. We were Gen X were raised to do things either right or not at all. So we're almost done with this side, right? All I'm doing is basically quad drawing what I need, right? And as you get to the edges, you start noticing that you have to close up these quads a little bit. Or you just click and drag to adjust them, okay? Maybe one here, and one here, and we should be closed. So this should be fine for me. I'm gonna add one more. So if I hold down the in Mac is the control, I can just add one here and pull this out a little bit and give it that curve. Right now, I'm not very concerned with it, but just to show you guys that you can add more details to this. Okay, so once that's done, I already have that on top. What I meant earlier is that it's on top of the actual um, item that I got at the live surface, so it's flat against it. You'll see it here. Okay, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna click off of that one. So I'm gonna click off and let's start another one. So in this one, we're gonna zoom in a little bit more. So all I do is Alt right click and drag, and Alt left click, and Alt left click does this, and Alt click and drag does this. Okay, because I'm in the front view, I cannot rotate, so it won't let me, but it will be Alt click and drag. Okay, so let's begin this one. I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing you guys saw earlier, nothing special. Okay. The reason you guys are seeing that I'm not too concerned about this right now is because I am gonna smooth this out eventually, and it will take the perfect form. So right now I'm not concerned. I just want that shape as best as I can from the beginning. So again, guys, there's a lot of ways to do this. But I'm a firm believer in putting in the hard work because this way, it's much more satisfying than just taking a shortcut. And then if you ever face an emergency or something doesn't work, you don't know how to do the long way. Okay. That's the only reason I do it this way. I know how to, for example, this logo, I could have had it made in 5 seconds. I'm gonna show you guys once I'm done with this manually, how you could do this same thing in about not even 5 seconds. I think I would take about a minute or two. I exaggerated on that. But let's keep this going real quick. So what I am trying to keep true at least is the curve, because once I add what I need to add, it'll be okay. So remember, I'm clicking points and then just holding shift to get the highlight and clicking, okay? So let's keep going real quick. So basically, guys, as if you're looking at this video as a person that's just learning 3D, um, it's a lot of work sometimes, especially when it comes to more intricate designs. It's a lot of work. But sometimes it's worth it because then, you can't say that, you didn't put in the work. I mean, I keep saying that on my videos and it seems cliche, guys, but trust me, it feels so much better when someone doesn't know how to do things. And so let's say, for example, something went wrong at the company and the shortcuts doesn't work or something's not working and you know how to fix it. It makes you feel so much better to know that you took your time to learn and do things another way, okay? So let's finish up with this, okay? So right now, I'm gonna right click, object mode. Again, let me just make sure I'm telling you guys the right thing. Give me a quick setting. Yeah, right click, middle click, right click. So when I say right click, I'm clicking the bottom and middle click is the top, okay? So what does this mean? Basically, this is sitting directly on top of the actual first shape that I made. And this is what I want. I don't want to be guessing or pushing into it or pushing away from it. I want it to be exactly where it is. The next step, I'm right click object mode. You're going to turn off live. You press Command E. That's extruding. What that does is it's going to give you this extruding option. Before you do anything, guys, if you don't got a good computer, make sure you drop this to the Pac-Man mouth right there. Okay? You're going to drag a little bit. If you feel uncomfortable dragging, you can mess with these here, which is thickness or offsetting. In this case, I don't need it to offset. I just need a thickness. Oops. Yep, I'm gonna need a little bit of thickness. So I'm dragging this way. If you go this way, it's the negative way, okay? But I'm dragging this way. Command E, more thickness. Command E one more time. What I'm doing, guys, is I'm adding this for support. So if I press 3, you guys will notice that there's some support on the sides. You're gonna have to add some more supporting edge loops. So mesh tool, insert edge loop. Always click here. You'll get this pop-up. Make sure that you press reset because sometimes you'll mess with this and add more. Um, but right now, this is what you want. Reset it. This is how it is. And you're gonna click one time here. If you see that it's a little bit off, so you see that it's thinner here but thicker here, Command Z, and try this one. That's more what I want. You guys notice how perfectly along the edge it is? And I want another one here. So I want a perfect square on those ends. All middle click and drag. I want another one here. I want one at the top. Here, I want one here. Here. I want that one to be very tight. Again, Alt right click and drag. Alt middle click and drag to left and right. And Alt right click and drag to zoom in. And I want one more right around, oops, here. Why do I want those supporting edge loops? If I press right click, object mode, Q, and I press 3, that's what I get. That's what I want. I want that perfect logo, right? Now, if you want to make this thicker, so I'm doing 1 to see this regular view, 3 to see a smooth preview. But before I make this any wider, I'm gonna do 2 more things. I'm gonna spacebar from the top. I want it to be thicker. So instead of just dragging out, just gonna right click, slide over to vertex, click and drag, and I'm gonna press W and I'm gonna move this forward because I want it to be a bit thicker to about there. Right click, object mode. So before we go any further, I'm gonna press Command S to save this. I'm gonna go to my extreme. I'm gonna slide down to my tutorials, open that, and we're gonna call this Pepsi low, oops, logo in 3D. And I'm gonna save that. Okay, so now this is what I have. The reason I turned the shadows, the subsurface off and on. Look at my edges. Okay, so I want to see a visual representation of what it's gonna look like. And then now, this is my preference, guys. So when I UV, I usually press mesh smooth, right click object mode, take a look at it, make sure it's still perfect, which it is. Okay. And then on this one, right click edge, double click, shift, double click, shift, right click, bevel that edge. I'm gonna come here, still in the Pac-Man mouth, move this to number 2 and slide this down. And you guys notice those lines here? I don't want that. It's bulky. You guys see that sometimes when you play Call of Duty, you'll see that you'll get close to an object and it looks like that. I don't like that, but they're still doing it in games and people are still paying for it. But that's just me. I'm gonna smooth that one out. Right click object mode, make sure it looks okay. And now since I've saved it, all I do is press Command S and it saves. The next thing, we're gonna slide down and we're gonna create this here. The cool part about this logo, sorry, I'm kind of raspy. Hold on, guys. Sometimes you gotta take advantage, like they say, of what's there. So in this case, I am going to create a cylinder. I'm going to press W. I'm going to drag it down. Guys, if for whatever reason you're modeling and these gizmos are too small, all you do is press plus and minus, and you'll see that they grow and shrink, okay? So if you see that you're working in a scene and you get lost, just minus or plus, okay? This is good for me. I'm gonna move this over. I'm gonna press E, hold down J, click and drag to its 90 degrees on my left corner. If you look to the left here where the green question mark is, it'll tell you that it's at 90, okay? I'm gonna press W, I'm gonna bring that down, and I'm gonna try to line this up, okay? So to me, that's there. I'm gonna press R because it's a little bit off. Now I'm gonna press R and fit this in here. I'm gonna move it over just a bit up, okay? So once that's there, you're gonna do two things. You're gonna turn this, right click face. I'm gonna take all these back faces, select, click and drag, and press delete on your keyboard. I don't want all that. Okay, what I want is the main base, the main face. Now here we go. I'm gonna edge, double click, Command E, and I'm gonna pull this out to where I need it. Okay, to me that's about right. I do have to manipulate some of this, but that's fine. Vertex, okay. So in order to keep continuity, I'll press W, shift click and drag because that's gonna fit right in there. We'll fix that in a minute. Okay, so let's leave that there. Let's go back to this one. Right click, face, click and drag, and delete. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these vertices and we're gonna manipulate it a little bit. So I do want this one here because I want that to come straight down. These are off a little bit. So what I'm doing, clicking, dragging, and just moving them to where I want them to meet the edge, okay? Because we want this to be right the first time. You don't want to be second guessing anything. So actually, you know what? Let's bring this one right around here. Nope. Let's leave this here. Let's drag this one over. So all I'm doing is shifting points, vertices, guys, to make sure that it's perfect. Next step, right click, edge. This one edge, you're gonna click it. This is too long for me, so I'm gonna press minus. Shift click and drag. So now what's gonna happen here is you have a slant that you don't want. All you gotta do is don't panic, click on it, press R, and the green, this one here, push it down. W, bring it all the way down. Okay. So since we already have one P, we're gonna add the details to this before we extrude it and then just slide it over. What I mean is we're gonna insert an edge loop here, right around that edge. We want one on the inside to support that edge. We want one in here. So guys, if this ever happens to you, it's very annoying. This is happening with the mouse in Mac a lot, and I don't know how to get rid of it. It keeps happening, but just triple click Option and it'll go away if it turns on. We want one here, and we want one here. And what we are gonna do is right click vertex, W, click and drag, click, shift and drag, and pull these up because there is a bit of a edge there. You guys see that, right? Okay, good to go. Now all we do, since we're gonna duplicate this later on, if you see this arrow, you hold down Shift, click and drag, and it'll duplicate it. So now you have two, okay? What I would do is click, shift click, mesh, combine, and you click delete by type, freeze transformations, and send to the pivot. So in this one, we're gonna have to work a little bit differently. We have most of the work done. So what we're gonna do is right click face, click and drag, delete. I don't need this one and this one, so click and drag those two, delete. So We're gonna work these vertices, right, to make sure that they are where they're supposed to be. I'll never mess with the outside unless it's necessary. So I want this to match this one. So I will take this one and move it over. Move this over, okay? So I am moving the inside to match the inside of the letter, but I am not manipulating the outside because everything's fine for me except this one here, right? And little things like this, guys, I'm very nitpicky with my work. So you guys will see that I'll try to get as close as possible to things to make sure that, again, if it's inspected by the company that is asking me to make this in 3D, that they're satisfied with the work. So how do we fix this? First, let's bring this down here. And check this out, edge, click one, shift right click, and we're gonna bridge these. Once you bridge them, you're gonna add about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edge loops, which is divisions here. So I'm gonna go down, shift, click, and drag till it gets to about 6. Actually, 5 is good. Or you can just click and enter the number. So however you want to do it. And now we're gonna have to work this vertex. We're gonna W this, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag this up, click and move this over, okay? So basically all I'm doing is just aligning this to the shape of the Pepsi E center, okay? Make sure guys that please be as precise as possible. Um, some companies, especially companies like Disney, actually most companies are, but they're very precise when it comes to what they want, the colors, right? Especially if you're modeling something like this, where they're gonna actually put it maybe in a movie, and they're gonna get close to it. They want it to be perfect. So far, we got these three done already. Right click object mode, Command S to save it. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna insert an edge loop, and we're gonna do the same thing. So we need one here, one here. I try to make perfect squares here so that the corners are as accurate as possible. Okay. So all I'm adding is where I already know that it's gonna collapse if I press the number 3. So I try to make sure that I don't do that. Okay, so if I press 3, I know this is gonna collapse a little bit. See, right here, collapse. That means I'm missing an edge loop here and one here. Now if I press 3, it will no longer collapse, okay? Because I have the same thing here. One more here. Right click vertex, W. I'm gonna push these two a little bit here. And then here, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I want this right around here, and I'm gonna drag these. Okay, so now, why is this important? Oops. If I right click object mode and press the letter 3, this is what I should get. It seems like I'm missing actually, no, I'm not. So if this ever happens, vertex, and just drag this a little bit. But that should be about it. Right click object mode. Actually, that edge is too sharp for me. Again, guys, I'm very picky, so I'm gonna push this in a little bit more. Right? Right click object, right click object mode, and it should look just like I want it to look. What's happening here? So guys, this is what I'm looking for. You guys see that sharp edge? Do not worry. All you do is take this, you push it in a little bit, you push this in a little bit, and it should curve it out as much as you need. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna press the number 1 so I go back to normal. And in this case, I'm just gonna use the same edge that I have here. Shift click and drag, shift click and drag, right click face. I'm gonna delete this. Why did I do this instead of bringing in another plane, guys? Because it's already connected. So if I press object mode, I don't have to guess if it's the same plane. Because if we look down here, it's perfectly flat. That's what I want. I want everything to be flat. So when I extrude everything, it's equal. I don't want to have to be lining stuff up later on. Okay. So W, I'm going to show you guys a new process here. So you guys notice that I'm pressing face, right click face. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to press E to rotate this. W, I'm going to move this right around here. Remember, I'm using Alt right click to zoom in and out, and Alt middle click um to move it around. I mean, move it this way, right? So this is zoom in and out, and this is to move left, right, up, and down. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna move it around here, and I'm gonna show you guys another concept. That little thing is annoying. I don't know how to get rid of it permanently, except for clicking on option 3 times in a row and it goes away. But it annoys me sometimes. Okay, so we're gonna do two different things here. Object mode. So I'm gonna take this face, right click, right? Shift, right click. I'm gonna duplicate that face right here. Let go, press W. Object mode, so make sure I select the one that's not connected to everything. If this happens and you see that I see the arrow here and not here, just center that pivot. Okay, so it was up here, but I want to center to my object. I want it there. And I'm gonna move this here and I'm gonna zoom in and fix it a little bit to where I want it. And what we are going to do is we're gonna fix this a bit. Right click, click, shift click, shift right click. If you don't see it here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click, shift right click, mesh, and combine those. 1, 2, 3. Command S to save. And now I'm gonna show you guys a trick. So if you ever want to connect something like this, let's see if this works. Click, shift click, command E. Um, no, that didn't work. Let's try this out. Click, shift right click, and bridge. And we're gonna add some divisions to this. If that ever happens to you, don't worry. Okay, what we're gonna do is face, we're gonna delete this face. I'm gonna teach you guys another trick today. So what I do want is I'm gonna create a curve, CV curve. And what I am gonna do is with my pen tool, just simple clicking, I'm gonna follow my shape. All I'm doing is clicking as I move to where I want it to end. Okay, once that's done, you have to make sure that it's aligned. If you see what I'm talking about, this is over here, right? I'm gonna middle because I want that there. And I'm gonna try to bring it as flat as possible to this, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it all the way here, okay? So they're aligned. They have to be aligned for what I'm about to do to work. So I'm gonna move them back just a bit. Let me see how far back I am. So I want that to start here. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna click on this, right click, edge, click on one edge, shift click and drag the curve we just made, and you're gonna press Command E. It doesn't, it looks almost like it did before, but watch when I start adding divisions. Here we go. So as I start shift clicking and dragging divisions, I'm getting the S that I need. It is not perfect right now, but right now it doesn't matter because what you can do is the following: right click, vertex, and what you can do is you can press W. Just actually, you know what? Let's fix this real quick. Vertex. If that ever happens, it's fine. Just select all the vertex, click and drag, press R and shrink it. That's all we need. So now let's fix this. So let's just say, for instance, we're happy with this. You're gonna object mode, Q, we're gonna select everything. So click and drag, 1, 2, and 3, and we're gonna delete the curve because we don't need it. Press delete. So all we have to do now is just fix this to our liking. So vertex W, and we're just gonna start making our work. Just work, just make sure that everything works out. We're gonna move this over, move this one over. So instead of clicking, dragging, accommodating, basically it made the whole S. All we gotta do is the cleanup work, and we're good to go. Okay, so this is all we're doing. We're just doing cleanup work. In the 3D business, it happens a lot. There's always something we have to clean up or fix or modify. It becomes part of your daily life, right? Actually, this one should be over here. As long as you take pride in doing these things, guys, you should be able to be a great artist. You have to love this. It can be time consuming, it can be painstakingly tedious sometimes, depending on trying to figure out where things go, where they do not, especially if you have to use sizes and stuff like that. It becomes a bit tedious. Other than that, you shouldn't have nothing to worry about. It is a good challenge to learn this. Once you get good, you start patting yourself on the back and you don't need nobody's recognition, right? You say, yeah, I got this. Like I tell people I'm a beast at what I do, and I have no regrets in saying that. Okay, so object mode, press Command S. We're gonna select everything. 1, 2, 3. Command S again. I'm always saving, guys, because I never know. Let's say if the light goes out or something goes wrong, you got yourself covered, okay? So always save constantly. I'm gonna take this edge, click, shift click and drag, shift click and drag, right click face, delete this one that connects them, vertex. So if you want to do something like this and straighten this out, just select those two, press R and push it in, click, shift click and drag, and the same thing. And now with W, move it over, move it over, move this up, move this down. Okay. If you want to make that circle, and since these are flat, what you're gonna do is double click this edge, Command ER, Command ER, Shift right click. You're gonna drag here, collapse to center, Q face, click, Shift double click, delete. You're gonna take these faces, you're gonna press W, you're gonna move them over. R, you're gonna shrink it, move it over. And if you have a problem with your edges looking like this, you can just object mode. So you see I have those two little edges here from before. You can either delete those or you can right click, edge, double click, shift right click, and circularize. So that took all those that were very weird and just circularized. Object mode, W. We're gonna center the pivot, face, I'm sorry. We're gonna move this over and we should be good to go. I would do this first. Press R a little bit, give it some space. Actually, make it a little bit bigger. Edge, double click. So double click the edge, Command E, and push it out a little bit so you have supporting edges. We're gonna add the supporting edges in this and we're good to go. We're almost done with the tutorial, guys. So I'm gonna zoom out. Remember, Alt right click, Alt middle click, Alt right click, Alt middle click. All I'm doing is moving back and forth, okay? You're gonna insert an edge loop here, here, here. Make sure you always try to keep that squared edge. And this one, the same thing. One here, one here and one at the bottom. So what's gonna happen now is we're almost done. I'm gonna have one in the middle here just because, and one here. So I always try to add one in the middle for extra support, guys. That's just the way I like to do things. Um, but that's fine. Right click object mode, press Q, and here we go. So now, just to show you what these supports do, I'm gonna press Command E, like I showed you guys earlier. Thickness, Command E, thickness, a little, oops. Let's see what's happening here. Let's press 3, see what's going on. So it's flat. Okay, if that ever happens, don't panic. Press 1, because 3 is what I wanted, what smooth looks like. But if this happens, as long as if you press 3, vertex, and you push this and there's no other walls, you're fine. Normally you'll see like a wrinkle or like a gray back here. That means it's already doubled up. I'm gonna press 1, Command E, W, bring it forward. Let's see how thick this is. With the same faces, Command E, W. Let's zoom out so we can see how thick we need it. And Command E, W one more time, and we should be good. So now, guys, you have completed your first tutorial on the Pepsi logo. Obviously, this one looks smooth. This one does not. All you got to do is select them since we already did all the legwork pre-entering the edge loops before we got to this part. If we press Mesh Smooth and bring the number 1 to a number 2 if you want to. I mean, that's overboard, but here we go, guys. And last but not least, I'm gonna show you guys how to apply the colors to your design. If you want to add the blue background, you can. All you do is add a plane. You're gonna see it's flat. All you have to do is press E. Let me turn my camera. So all click and drag. So regular click and drag. I'm gonna press E, hold down J, make sure it says 90 degrees on my left in the bottom where I showed you guys. I'm gonna press R to make it big enough. I'm gonna push it behind the circle. So from the top, you can see that I want it to be exactly behind the circle. Just gonna press W, so about right there. And all I'm gonna do is match the shape of the blue, so I can do this by edges. So edge, up, edge, down. All you're doing is matching up where you want that blue wall to end. Okay, right click. So how do we apply colors individually? Right now, if you were to try to apply a color, let me move this back a little bit so it could be against the wall. So right, I kind of went overboard. Okay, so let's say we want to add color to this right now, right? The problem we're gonna have is everything right now has one single material. So what's gonna happen is if I turn this black, let me delete my history. So I'm gonna select everything. 1, 2, 3, Command S. First of all, those two are together, they cannot be because then they'll take the same color. So you gotta click on it, mesh, separate it. Then here, edit, ungroup. You're gonna select everything one more time. You're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna assign colors to match the amount of colors that you need. So for example, this blue is by itself. I'm gonna shift. Oh, before we do anything, let's name things. So the first cylinder, you're gonna call it white circle. Then that's the word Pepsi. You're gonna literally call it Pepsi letters. This is gonna be your wall. So you're gonna call that blue wall, press enter. And here you're gonna call this red, red logo piece, and double click blue logo art. Oops. Gotta make sure you type things correctly, guys. If you put anything in there that does not belong, it will damage your your design. So let's go. In order to, like I was explaining, right now, if I don't do anything, let me clean up a little bit. And if I change this to a color by clicking on standard surface, it affects everything else. That means they all have the same color, okay? This is what's happening. So right click, you're gonna hold it down, you're gonna add one, and you're just gonna click on each one and press G, G. Oops. So here you gotta be careful. Let's go back. So if one color is the same, you want everything that's the same color, unless it's, for example, white gloss and white matte, then you separate it. In this case, I want the white circle and the Pepsi to have the same color because they're both white. I'm going to click, shift click, hold down right click, and put standard surface that's one color. And now G and G. What's going to happen, Maya is so cool that, for example, if I want this blue to sample that, I'm going to click on this here. On color, I'm going to click on this color picker. And that's the blue. Next, this is white. I don't have to color pick. I'm just going to push this all the way to white. If you want, you can. It's up to you, but it's white. This is the red. Click on color, color picker, and sample that specific red. Here is that blue, color, color picker, and that specific blue. So, as you guys can see, in a short time, if these lines annoy you, you can just turn them on and off here. This is the grid. We've recreated that as perfect as possible, right? And if we're gonna render this to see how it looks, all you gotta do, if you're working with a widescreen monitor, I'm gonna hide this. Like I tell you guys, I work with a widescreen, plus I got another one on top. This is a 34 inch, so I can divide everything and work equally. So let's say Arnold, open Arnold render view. I'm gonna click this so you guys can see. I'm gonna press play. Nothing's gonna show yet until I press Arnold Lights, Sky Dome, and here we are. And basically, like you guys see, compared to my iMac outside, this thing is spot on quickly. It reacts much faster without lagging or like timing out on me. Um, yeah, so here we go, guys. So thank you so much for watching the video. Remember, I am the Rum Soak Pirate. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, the Rum Soak Pirate. Thank you so much, and as always, drink up me hearties, yo ho. Take care, guys.